Hello, everyone. Good morning, and welcome back again to another episode of the weekly newspaper analysis of the Assam Tribune. And for this week, we are going to discuss from the 17th of August to the 23rd of August. And you can join us every Sunday at 7 a.m. So, jihokole amak follow kori asa. You must have known till now that we do this on a weekly basis. কাৰণ daily basis কৰিবলৈ দিগদাৰো হয় and plus ষ্টুডেণ্টছসকলৰ কাৰণে ফ'ল' আপ কৰিবলৈ দিগদাৰ হয় চ' যদি তোমালোকে ক'ৰবাত বেলেগত যদি তোমালোকে নিউজ পেপাৰটো চাইছা চ' এভৰি ছানডে তোমালোকে 7টা বজাত ইউ কেন জইন আছ এণ্ড ইউ কেন গিভ আ কুইক ভেৰি আৰ্লি ৰিভিজন অফ দি এণ্টায়াৰ কাৰেণ্ট এফেয়াৰ্ছ both local, national and also international from us. Okay, so let's start from the 17th of August. First news ki ase media and entertainment. So 5 films from Assam with honors at 70th national awards. So there has been 5 films that have been nominated for the national award. The Rajat Kamal for best Assamese film was backed by Emuti Puthi, directed by Kulandini Mahanta and produced by Metanormal Motion Pictures Private Limited. So this is the first film we got to know, Emuti Puthi. Then the non-feature film category, Assamese film Hunyata bagged the Rajat Kamal award for best short film, which is up to 30 minutes, non-feature film. The film has been directed by Novobon Deka and produced by HM Productions. So these are certain smaller current affairs questions which can come in your 2025 prelims. Okay, 2025 prelims. So you can simply note them down and you can keep it in your notebook for future reference. Now, Hikaikol was adjudged the best Tiva film. Then there is another film which was by Aimi Boruas, whose Birubala, which to Padma Shri, and Partha Sarthi Mantas, Hargila, the great adjutant stock, received special mention. Now, Aimi Boruas, Birubala, and the Hargila, these both are documentaries. But recently, we know that Aimi Boruas, Birubala has entered into controversies because of the title. But whatever the case may be, these are the two extremely very good documentaries that you should see. So Hargila, which is the great adjutant stock, so this is actually at the point of extinction in the part of northeast India and also especially in Assam. So what are the organizations that are doing to preserve this adjutant stock? Now, best feature film award has been given to Malayalam film Attam, which is the play, and also the best non-feature film has been backed by an Urdu film, which is Aina, or you can say The Mirror. Now, Rishabh Shetty, you must have known him. Rishabh Shetty, he is a famous actor in the movie Kantara. He has also directed the movie Kantara, and it became one of the best performing movies for the year 2024. Okay, so it's a leading role for his performance in the movie Kantara. Now, disaster management, we have MOU on landslide early warning system signed. So what is this early warning systems? In a move towards combating the menace of landslides in Assam, a memorandum of understanding on implementation of experimental regional landslide early warning systems, which is also called as LEWS. So this LEWS, this might come as a full form in your exam. So I would suggest you to please write it down, and this is something which is managed by Assam State Disaster Management and also the Geological Survey of India. So these two organizations, the Disaster Management Authority of India and Geological Survey of India, they have entered into a memorandum of understanding because Assam has recently seen many landslides. So now the problem of landslides sometimes goes unnoticed, are being dealt with ad hoc response mechanisms. So during recent times, one of the major thrust areas in landslide risk reduction is development of regional LEWS for a large area with inputs from static landslide suspectability and hazard map. So these are certain technical terminologies. You don't need to write them down, but the only thing that you need to know is that the agreement was signed between Geological Survey of India and Assam State Disaster Management. So what it does, it is an institutional cooperation and implementation of an experimental regional early warning forecast system, and this will be experimented or first performed in the areas of Dima Hasao and the Kasar district of Assam. So it's mostly like an early warning system, just like the weather forecast. The weather gives us an early warning if there is any kind of storm or tornado or stuffs like that. So likewise for the landslide, this LEWS system is going to give us an early warning system so that the administration can prepare for possible scenarios. Now the GSI, which is Geological Survey of India, has launched an app which is also called as Bhu Shakalan app, which is also called as Bhush Kalan app, which is called as Bhush Kalan app. So this Bhush Kalan app is going to give you all the information related to the possible landslide scenarios. Now the Holy Trio, this is a very useful editorial which teaches us the teachings of Ramakrishna Paramahansa, Ma Sarada Devi and Swami Vivekananda. So these three are people about whom this entire article is on. So Swami Vivekananda founded the Ramakrishna Mission, a Hindu religious society near Kolkata on 1st May 1897. So the date is given here. It aims to propagate the teachings of Vedanta as embodied in the life of Hindu saint Ramakrishna. Okay, the mission emphasizes that all religions lead to same goal, reflecting Ramakrishna's inclusive spiritual philosophy. So Ramakrishna believed that everything, whatever the form of practice you do to realize God, to experience God, ultimately it leads you to the same goal. The practice might be different, the idea might be different, the basis of belief might be different, but ultimately whatever you do, it ultimately leads you to an inclusive spiritual philosophy. Okay, so this is the very basic philosophy of Vedanta. Now the organization and its sister entity, the Ramakrishna Math, undertake extensive educational and philanthropic activities across Bharat and internationally. So this is Ramakrishna Math, which is also the sister organization of Ramakrishna Mission. So they take philanthropic activities. The Vedantic Society of New York, which was established in 1894, is the oldest branch in the United States with more than 20 branches worldwide. So Ramakrishna Paramahansa, the entire philosophy of Vedanta was later taken by Vivekananda, and he established the Ramakrishna Mission also in the United States in the early 1894. So Ramakrishna Paramahansa taught the unity of all religions and the importance of experiencing the divine. So this is the unity of all religions and experiencing the divine. Okay. Next we have Ma Sarada Devi, who is revered as the Holy Mother. She is epitomized unconditional love, compassion and practical wisdom. Her life and teachings encourage us to embrace simplicity and kindness, often overlooked in our pursuit of material success. So Swami Vivekananda, the dynamic disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, carried these teachings to the world stage. Now in terms of Guwahati, we'll also see his vision of a spiritually awakened and strong Bharat continues to inspire many. Now his message was arise, awake and stop not till the goal is achieved. So this is something everybody of us know, that his message was arise, awake and stop not till the goal is achieved. Now Vivekananda's speech in 1893 at the Chicago at the religious conference remains ever treasured, and Bharat has celebrated the Hindu monk's birthday on January 12 every year as National Youth Day since 1985. Okay, this basic information. So Ramakrishna Mission is dedicated to idol of Atmanu Mokshartham Jagat Hityacha, for one's salvation and the welfare of the world. So this philosophy, you can write it in your notes also if you want. It is also called as Atmanu Mokshartham Jagat Hityacha. That means you sacrifice your soul for the benefit of the welfare of the mankind. The mission's activities encompasses various educational, medical and cultural and spiritual services. These initiatives are designed to uplift individual and communities. So their activities are diverse. They have medicinal, cultural, spiritual and also educational services. Okay. Next we have is in Guwahati, the Ramakrishna Mission Ashram has been a pillar of strength and guidance since its inception. The seed of Ramakrishna movement was sown in Guwahati immediately after Ramakrishna's birth centenary in 1936. So, if anybody of ask that when the Ramakrishna Mission started in Guwahati, it is in the year 1936. It started as a humble study circle and is now a vibrant study of spiritual and philanthropic activities. Okay. The Swami Vivekananda Assam Youth Empowerment Scheme, inspired by Swami Vivekananda's idol, is a noteworthy initiative aimed at empowering the youth of Assam. So, you must be aware of this scheme, which is Swami Vivekananda Assam Youth Empowerment Scheme. The government scheme helps young people become self reliant and contribute positively to society by providing financial assistance and also support for entrepreneur ventures. Now, on 18th of August, we have culture and art. So, Eri Silk gets Oak Teak certification. So, what is this Oak Teak certification? The Northeastern Handicraft and Handloom Development Corporation under Ministry of Development of Northeastern Region has successfully obtained the Oak Teak certification for Eri Silk. Okay, now this certification is being issued from Germany. So what does it mean? Now, Eri silk is the world's only vegan silk. So, what do you mean by vegan silk? Vegan silk means the moth inside the cocoon is actually not killed. Generally, what do? We kill the moth. But here, the moth is not killed. When the moth becomes butterfly, it goes away, but it leaves the cocoon. Okay, and when it leaves the cocoon, after that, we use the cocoon for the weaving of the Eri silk. This ethical and eco-friendly process sets Eri silk apart, making it a symbol of compassion and sustainability in the textile industry. So the Oak Teak certification is a rigorous standard that ensures textiles are tested for harmful substances and produced in environment friendly condition is a significant endorsement for Eri silk. So this Oak Teak certification is a standard which ensures textiles are tested for harmful substances. That means they test the textiles if there is any harmful or chemical substance which has been mixed for the production of the silk, which can be a very big hazard for the environment, because once we throw away the clothes and once we wash the clothes, the water from the clothes, the chemicals from the clothes, it goes off and it drains into our streams and channels and stuff like that. And even if we throw the cloth out, then the cloth will not get decomposed and is going to harm the environment. So this is a certification which ensures if the silk or any kind of textile material is composed of more than the prescribed chemical components and is produced in environmentally friendly conditions. So what does this mean now? If we have received this certification, that means it is considered now that it is a very eco-friendly fabric, and once we start marketing this in the international world, then I am pretty sure in the textile market worldwide, this is a silk which will be taken by a lot of the international markets, because now they are also moving forward into the eco-friendly fabric and textiles and stuff like that. Now many of us might seem that cotton is a very good eco-friendly, but actually not. Cotton shirts po ki hoy ami jeta cotton opra ami produce koru, cotton is a very water sucking plant, mane bahut pani দরকার হয়. So if we are producing cloth from cotton, that means we are needing gardens and gardens of cotton plant, and cotton plant are very very water sucking plants. So আমার বহুত পানি গুছি যায় in the production of the cotton clothes. So many of us might not understand this, but actually cotton is not a very environment friendly stuff. So that is why they have switched into polymers like polyesters and stuff like that. But polyesters are also very chemically made, so they cannot be decomposed, and since it is a stage of a very fast fashion one, so these kind of things ultimately go into the dump yard and they never get decomposed. So that is why when we need to switch to eco-friendly stuffs which are not harmful to the environment, and plus they are also energy efficient, they don't waste a lot of energy. Okay, so it's more like a renewable source. Now Veterinary University's article of the week: the decision to establish the Assam Veterinary and Fishery Science Universities is a laudable move. Now, animal husbandry and veterinary sector is playing a very important role in uplifting the country's GDP. So here some data is given. So if you can see, according to a recent report, about the veterinary sector contributes about 4 to 5% of India's total GDP, which is 4 to 5% of the GDP. And even within the agricultural GDP, the largest share is about 25 to 28%. That is largest share, that means we can say in terms of milk and stuffs like that. and then for the animal husbandry, and for the 4 to 5% we can say the dairy products and stuff like that. So India is one of the largest exporters of meat in the world, and India exports buffalo meat, poultry, sheep and goat meat, including the processed meat. So since we do export a lot of meat to the international market, so the animal husbandry and veterinary sector, if there's a university dedicated to it, then there can be a lot of research which can be done in terms of increasing or in terms of improving the quality of the materials of the dairy products and of the export stuffs. Now similarly, in the financial year 22 to 23, India had ranked second among the largest fish producing country with a total fish production of 1,75,000 tons. So this account for almost 8% of global fish productions and contribute to 1% of India's GDP and 5% to agriculture GDP. So we are ranked as the second largest country to export fish. Okay, total fish production and 8% of global fish trade goes from India. So Tamil Nadu is the first state in the country to have an independent veterinary university in 1989, followed by Uttar Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh and West Bengal. So these are the states that already have a veterinary university. First is the Tamil Nadu, Uttar Pradesh, then Andhra Pradesh and West Bengal. So today these states are among the top egg producing states in India, and as reported, egg production per day in these states was 5.54 crore, which is Andhra Pradesh the largest egg producing. Then we have Tamil Nadu, then we have Uttar Pradesh, and then we have West Bengal respectively. So surprisingly, what happens if we see in Assam, the largest number of eggs that we get in Assam are all imported from the state of Andhra Pradesh and also from the state of West Bengal. So we don't have such kind of animal husbandry, or we don't have an ecosystem where we are even able to produce as many number of eggs as required for people to supply to the consumers. So many of our imports, many of the eggs that we import are being imported from states like Andhra Pradesh and West Bengal. So Assam does not have a very friendly ecosystem in terms of producing these many number of poultry products which can meet the consumer demands. Similarly, meat production in the same year was this much million tons in Andhra Pradesh, then went to Tamil Nadu, then Uttar Pradesh and West Bengal. So these four states, Tamil Nadu, Uttar Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh and West Bengal, these are the majority of the meat and poultry producing states. But Assam's share in meat and egg production is not encouraging at present. Its meat production stood at 58,240 tons as against India's production of 97,68,640 tons. So we are standing at a very low tons. Okay, we only can produce 58,240 tons, which is itself very less in terms of providing products to our own consumers. So we are not even able to export it, and neither we are able to satisfy our consumers by having a sustainable dairy, or you can say animal husbandry products. Well, Assam's daily egg production has substantially increased to 48 lakhs per day from 15 lakhs the previous year. There is tremendous potential to increase the amount. So slowly and gradually we are increasing, but still not encouraging at all. Now, Assam ranks 12th among the fish producing states in India, and its fish production is also getting increased from 4.5 lakh ton to about 5 lakh tons. So we are at the 12th position in terms of fish producing state. The growth and development of veterinary animal husbandry and fishery sections can only be possible from independent dedicated research, so as to discharge technical guidance to the poor and the needy farmers. So that is why we need a university which supports the training and the research in terms of animal husbandry and veterinary services. So establishment of an independent veterinary and fishery science university at the earliest is therefore the need of the hour for all-round development of the animal husbandry and fishery sector of the fullest potential. On the 19th of August, we didn't find any important news. On the 20th of August, we have the agriculture, which is minimum floor price book on tea industry release. So since we know that minimum support price, what we know is a minimum support price for all other agriculture stuffs, but in terms of cash crops, we have never heard of any called a minimum floor price in terms of cash crops. Now tea is a cash crop, and there is a book which is written here, which is minimum floor price, a book on tea industry, which is released by C.K. Dhanuka, the chairman of the Dhunseri group. Now what does this book say? Dhanuka has made a strong pitch for minimum floor price of tea at a time when the industry has been advocating measures to ensure its sustainability and its caution against natural uncertainties that derail the lives and livelihood of more than 3 million workforce. Now in the tea industry we almost have 3 million workers, and we also have individual tea planters. Not only the companies, we also have individual tea planters. So we need to have a minimum price support. We need to have a minimum floor price through which we can support the entire ecosystem of the tea. Now Dhanuka said the main stakeholders in the tea industry are the small tea growers who hold around 52% of the market share. So they hold almost 52% of the market. These are the individual stakeholders, which you can say is the individual, or you can say the small tea growers producing almost 702 million minimum floor price book on tea industry release kg of tea. Okay, now next we go on to what we see. Large tea workers has about 48% of the market share, producing around 648 million kg of tea. The tea buyers, sellers, brokers and transporters are only intermediaries. There are thousands of sellers, but only around 10 main buyers control the market. So the buyer is controlling the market, but there are many sellers. So if we don't support the entire ecosystem of the cash crop in the state, then we might see a systemic failure in the future. Although it is in the stage of a failure, but we might see even more systemic failure in the future. So that is why the book really addresses like why we need the minimum floor price. Okay, now in the next section you will see there is an oversupply of tea worldwide, which is expected to continue till at least 2030. Dhanuka said a floor price mechanism does not entail the government buying any tea or funding any type of transaction, whereas minimum support price is the minimum price at which the government buys agricultural products from farmers. So how the government can buy? So the government can buy at least at a minimum support price, because already there is oversupply of tea worldwide. We have Sri Lanka, we have China, that they are producing overboard. Okay, so we have overproduction of tea worldwide until 2030 there has to be. So when the oversupply is been there, when the supply, we know the basic economics, that when the supply is more, the demand is less, and then the price also goes down. So Mr. Dhanuka is saying that what we need at this moment right now to sustain our markets, to support our market, we need a minimum floor price at which at least a minimum price has been ensured to the small tea growers so that they can sustain their business. So at least for a minimum time, because till 2030 we expect that there will be oversupply of tea in the market, and when there is an oversupply, the demand automatically goes down and the price also goes down. Okay, so the renewable energy, the state makes rooftop solar scheme more lucrative. The state is trying to make rooftop solar energy scheme much more lucrative. So in a bid to make the rooftop solar scheme PM Surya Ghar more attractive and lucrative, the state government has brought in 3 provisions, including the adoption of a net metering mechanism, which would bring down the energy costs further. Okay, so this is the PM Surya Ghar. So what our India is trying to do? India is trying to transition from the traditional energy source to the renewable energy source. So we are trying to encourage people to move into the solar house, to move into the solar sector. And for that, to make it even more lucrative, the government is offering certain provisions. In the net metering mechanism, the solar units exported by residential consumers with rooftop panels up to 10 kilowatt will be adjusted against unit consumption from the grid. Okay, for example, if anyone generates 100 units and uses 50 units during the day, the units exported will be adjusted against a unit used from the grid. The consumer will have to pay for the additional units used from the grid. Next we come is the technical feasibility approval, which was causing delays in execution, has been also waived off of installation up to 10 kilowatts rooftop solar capacity. So if there is a delay in installation, or those kind of delays, those kind of fees will be waived off. Next is we have the editorial of the week, the Bangladesh, the road ahead. So let's see what happens. It is still not absolutely clear whether the protest to overthrow Sheikh Hasina's government was spontaneous or whether some countries or organizations were behind this. So I have been telling this over and over time. Upon analyzing the chain of events dispassionately, it becomes clear that the larger objective of the agitators was to ensure the Prime Minister's resignation. The violent crackdown by police during the agitation, in which hundreds of students were killed, only sped up the process. There are few theories circulating the reasons. So let's see what are the theories. The first one, as you can see, an article published in the National Daily on August 11 claimed that foreign powers, particularly US, has been involved in it. Now, Hasina's refusal to grant permission to the US to establish a base on Saint Martin Island greatly disappointed him. However, Sajib Wajid, Hasina's son, later refuted the report, calling it completely false and fabricated. So there is something which you need to know, which is called the Saint Martin. So Saint Martin, so US wanted to establish a military base there, but Bangladesh, it denied permission to the US, and so there have been claims that the US has been behind the toppling of the Sheikh Hasina's government. Now, Hasina had also suggested on more than one occasion that there was conspiracy to break the government of Myanmar and Bangladesh to form a Christian nation with a base in the Bay of Bengal. Saint Martin Island, located in the northeastern part of Bay of Bengal, about 9 kilometers from Cox's Bazar, is a tiny piece of land but holds strategic significance. So, this is a small island called as Saint Martin Island, which is really located in the Bay of Bengal. It is at the end point of Bangladesh, and now Sheikh Hasina has been calling a conspiracy for a long time, that there has been a conspiracy to topple the government both at Bangladesh and also at Myanmar, so that a Christian nation can be established there, all surrounding the island of Saint Martin. Now, if a foreign country establishes a military base on that island, it would automatically establish a presence in the Strait of Malacca. So you know where the Strait of Malacca is. It's where you can have a direct access to the South China Sea. A base there would offer a great opportunity to even monitor the Chinese military activities in the Bay of Bengal as well as in the Myanmar. So the Bay of Bengal is one of the most important sea lanes of communication connecting China, Japan and Korea with the Middle East and Africa. So Bay of Bengal gives a more direct access to the countries like China, Japan, Taiwan and Korea, and also to the Middle East and also to Africa. Okay, so this is a controversy which has been going on, and even many articles have been written that this is a US conspiracy because they wanted to overthrow the government at Bangladesh and also at Myanmar, so that they can establish direct political links in the Saint Martin Island. They can establish a Christian dominated country, and then they can and from there they can establish their military bases to directly monitor the Chinese. Bangladesh is also critical to China's efforts to expand its influence in the Bay of Bengal. So, second most conspirated theory is of that of China. So, China is one of Bangladesh's largest trading partner, and China almost account for 17% of the Bangladesh total trade. But China is very acutely aware of its limited and unfavorable maritime geography and has long sought access to the Bay of Bengal through Myanmar and Bangladesh. So China has also been looking into to establish access to the Bay of Bengal by evading Bangladesh and also Myanmar. The Chinese Silk Road Initiative aims to connect Chinese ports with those in Asia, Europe and Africa, and Bangladesh does play a very important role. There are also strong indications that a BNP, particularly Chief Khalida Jia's Tariq Rahman, could have played a major role in toppling Sheikh Hasina's government. Reportedly, BNP and ISI, now this is a third conspiracy because BNP and ISI, which is the Pakistan's intelligence agency, struck a deal regarding a planned coup during their first meeting in London in 2018. Subsequently, Tariq held a series of meetings with ISI officials in Dubai and other European cities over the last 6 years. It is believed that ISI through Tariq Rahman provided millions of dollars to students to organize anti-Hasina activities. Now, article of the week, population growth an alarming problem. So this is a very important article for you. Overpopulation has intensified the depletion of natural resources, caused food shortages and contributed to pollution, unemployment, increased crime rates and poverty. Okay, so United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs, the world's population is projected to reach approximately this billion this year. It is projected that the global population will grow by another 2 billion over the next 30 years, reaching 9.7 billion by 2050 and peaking at around 10.4 billion by the mid 2080. So these figures are very scary. Why scary? Because you can see the world population will be reaching at this many billion, but over you can say another 2 billion we can expect to grow until next 30 years. So the amount of pressure that the earth will have over to feed these many population is enormous. So we need to design a very sustainable way of living. This dramatic growth is primarily due to high birth rate, advancement in technologies, reduced mortality, increased migration, some people reaching reproductive age, longer life expectancy, urbanization, and rapid migration. So these are certain sociological factors which are given there for the growth of population. So by 2030, so by 2037, the global population growth is expected to slow down, particularly in many developed regions where rates are declining due to increased access to education and employment, improved family planning, better healthcare, economic development, and wider access to contraceptive. So there's a trend that in the West, mostly in the European countries, the population is going to decline. Even in Japan, the population is declining over the period of time, but there will be certain countries where the population will be increasing. For example, Nigeria, Ethiopia, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Tanzania, Uganda, Kenya, Mozambique, Angola, Ghana, and Zambia will be experiencing a population boom due to high birth rate and also access to medical facilities. So there will be certain African countries and also certain Southeast Asian countries where population will be increasing day by day. Next we have currently China and India almost have 18% of the world's population, and India's population growth is expected to continue in the coming decades, driven by factors such as high birth rate, cultural and religious belief, promoting large families, insufficient access to contraceptive, reduced infant mortality, advancement in healthcare and medical technology. So as you can see, there are various religious factors also given, cultural factors also given, and certain medical factors also given, because of which India will also see a rise in the population boom as of now. But gradually there's also a good thing that population in India is also decreasing day by day. Now, Assam is also experiencing significant population growth. According to report by Technical Group of the National Commission, Assam's population was projected to reach 36.2 million by the mid to 2024. So it is going to be the 14th most populous state in the country. So this is a big issue for us if it is going to be the 14th most. Now, districts with high population concentrations are Kamrup, Noga, Honitpur, Borpeta, Dorong, and Kasar. Now these are very high rated population because of now Dhuburi and Kasar, because of the religious reasons there have been more and more populations. Honitpur, Borpeta, these are because of extreme migrations, and Noga also because of the religious factors, and Kamrup definitely because of religious and also because of migration. Now has led to challenges such as unemployment, illiteracy, crime, insurgency, terrorism, sanitation problems, and inadequate healthcare. These are certain problems that might come over the period of time because of the increased population and the pressure. Now for the discovery, we have green cat snake's presence recorded for the first time in Manipur. Now, for the first time, 3 researchers, including 2 from Manipur University, have recorded the presence of a green cat snake called as Boiga cinia in Manipur. So the green cat snake, about 5 feet tall, is completely green in color and is a nocturnal and arboreal rear fang, mildly venomous colubrid that feeds primarily on frogs, lizards, snakes, and small rodents. The inside of the snake's mouth is completely black. The snake camouflages with the branches of the tree and does not easily catch the eye of human beings. So it is green in color. That is why it can camouflage very well with the trees and branches, and so it cannot be caught very easily by the eye. So I could not find the proper photo of this, that's why I couldn't put it, but it's quite 5 feet long and is very thin and is very green in color. The species is listed as least concern on the International Union. It is least concern on the International Union Conservation Network of Red List of Threatened Species 2022. The species is widely distributed in southern and Southeast Asia like India, Nepal, Bhutan, Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, Thailand, Malaysia. So all these Southeast Asian countries host this snake. In India, it's been reported from Assam, Manipur, Nagaland, Mizoram, Nicobar Island, Arunachal Pradesh, Meghalaya, and West Bengal. These are the states with very high humidity, but also at the same time is the rainforest areas. So you can see in the rainforest area, this is a this is a snake that lives there, and no wonder, because it likes all this rainforest wala area. Now on the 21st of August, we have a disease which is called as mpox threat. Now, monkeypox or the mpox virus has emerged as the most significant orthopox virus infection after elimination of smallpox. The monkeypox virus, which was previously exclusive to Western Central African nations, have now been endemic and has recently been linked to human infections in non-endemic countries. Okay, so now it has spread to, Sweden is the first country outside Africa to have catch this. Now in the Asia, we have Pakistan, who has been reported with this at this point of time. Earlier India also reported it, but it was a very non-deadly version, but this is a very deadly version. So this one is been spreading. There are two variants of it, Clade 1 and Clade 2. So now the Clade 2 version is been spreading, and this is spreading from human to human via sexual contact. So earlier scientists were not worried about monkeypox virus because it was mostly spread from animals to humans, and mostly it could not spread from any kind of sexual contact. But for the first time, it has been spreading from human to human through sexual contact, and it is a most deadly version of this virus. Now mpox in Africa has long been regarded as a problem in a few countries and afflicting the poor. So first time it was recorded in an African country, which is Congo. It was first discovered in 1958, and the first human case was found in 1970 in the year Congo. For decades, the disease was neglected by scientific and public health communities and regarded as common infection in rural Africa. But infectious disease, if not controlled, may suddenly pose unexpected global threat. If surveillance and basic primary care to contain such disease are neglected, it can result in health issues. The monkeypox outbreak has now been termed as worldwide health emergency. The WHO has declared mpox a public health emergency of international concern, given its prevalence and spread across many parts of Africa. This year has already seen over 14,000 reported cases of the virus, with 524 deaths, a significant increase in reported cases from 2023. It is mostly airborne. It can spread from air to air and typically requires close skin to skin contact to spread. Okay. Next we have festival, which is chili festival in Manipur, which is Ukrul village. The GI tag Sirakhong chili is in great demand even outside Manipur. So this chili is called the Sirakhong chili. So they are having a festival to celebrate its grand vendor. Now the indigenous chili variety that the village grows is 8 inches long and is rich in calcium and vitamin C. In 2021, the Sirakhong chili earned a GI tag, affirming its originality and uniqueness after 3 years of formalities. The GI title was changed from Hathay chili Manipur to Sirakhong Hathay in May 2024. Now on the 22nd of August, we have land management and protection. Now Majuli has been declared as a protected area. Now restriction on land transaction within 5-kilometer radius of Borpeta Hotro and Bordua Than. New concept of micro tribal belt and block to be introduced. So this will be new micromanagement for the land management of Majuli. Only those living in these heritage blocks, which is in the Than area and the Hotro, for 3 generations can buy or sell land in that area. Those villages which have more than 80% SCs and STs will be declared as micro tribal belt and block. The declaration will be based on public demand. A cabinet committee has been formed to identify such village. Now disaster management, we have government approves at least 150 crore for 4 states for glacial risk management to be implemented by National Disaster Management Authority in Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Sikkim and Arunachal Pradesh. There are nearly 7,500 glacial lakes in Indian Himalayas, and NDMA has finalized a list of 189 high-risk glacial lakes for mitigation measures. So almost there are 189 high-risk ones. There is a separate program envisioned on the same lines for Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. The program aims at detailed technical hazard assessment and installing automated weather and water level monitoring stations and early warning systems at the lakes and in downstream areas. The primary objective of this program is to attempt lake lowering measures to reduce the risk of GLOF from such lakes, which is glacial lake outburst. All central and state agencies are working closely and have already completed expeditions to 15 of these high risk lakes, 6 each in Sikkim, 1 in Ladakh, 1 in Himachal, 2 in Jammu and Kashmir. Now, for film and entertainment, we have The Last Generation selected for Jharkhand International Film Festival and Award. The Assamese documentary film The Last Generation has been selected for the Jharkhand International Film Festival and Award, which will be held in Itanagar, Arunachal Pradesh. Directed by Prabal Khan and produced by Gopal Jalan and Dhruva Jyoti Kakoti under the banner of Jalan Films. The Last Generation explores the traditional yapping hulo and type practices of the Apatani community in Arunachal Pradesh, which are now on the verge of extinction. So this might come as a prelims question. Last Generation film. It is on the yapping hulo and tipi practices of the Apatani community. Okay. Now, article of the week, Strategic Maturity Matters. This is the last article of today. A book which is written by a veteran journalist Shashi Ramachandran depicts a different picture of China. Now, Shashi Ramachandran, he wrote a book on Beyond Binaries, the World of India and China. So, why he wrote this book? Because he was stationed in China and he had a chance to meet some of the rare experience of working with leading Chinese newspapers during his stint in Beijing. So he had experience of living in China and talking to some of the journalists in China. And Beyond Binaries is the book that he wrote. So this is important for your prelims next year. Okay. Now what he has written here, one interesting aspect about China from the eyes of the writer is its pragmatic governance system, which ensures that power cuts and water supply are not something to worry about. Okay, so they have a very pragmatic approach, plus even the writer himself had a very pragmatic approach over its governance, because China does not face power cuts, they don't face any kind of water supply. They are taken for granted by the Chinese and anyone who lives there. That means the Chinese government is there to solve many problems. The government is not like us, that we have power cuts, we have corruption. So their government is not like that. This is such a stark contrast to life in India's northeast, where power cuts are par for the course and where quality of pipe water supply to our homes is of suspect. That means whatever the government provides in India is of a suspectable nature, because the government gives it right away, but there are intermediaries who use their power, who corrupt these practices, and then later once it reaches to the consumer, it is totally exploited. But in China, the people can take the government for granted, because the government does not allow its citizens to suffer from things like power cuts and water supply and lack of water supply. This is not to unduly praise the Dragon Kingdom, but to draw attention to our own insufficiency when it comes to the quality of infrastructure, be they roads, bridges, airports, or railways. While some authoritarian regimes, such as those in the Middle East, were later targeted by their own people because they looted public money, indulged in personal aggrandizement, such was not the case with China, where the state and ruling elites were committed to the well-being of the people. That means the state also itself is concerned about its people, so the state does not entertain things like corruption and stuff like that. But there are certain authoritarian regimes all over the world. China, despite being a very authoritarian government, it still thinks about its people. But there are certain authoritarian in the Middle East that does not consider the benefit of its people, but mostly interested in corruption and public money laundering. The author categorically states that China is an outperformer and far better than those much touted democracies in the developing world. So this may come in a very surprising thing to us, but more or less it is true that China has been performing much better than many of the China has been performing better than many of the democracies. A dictatorship has its ugly underbelly, and because of the tight control on the media, demonstrations and protests over rising unemployment, displacement of rural population, corruption, crime, environmental degradation, extreme poverty, all facets of what development does when it disregards human concerns. In India, it is a daily fare to read of public protest over all kind of issues, environmental concerns being at the top of our agenda, and now educational and income disparities. So much so that the government at center and state have taken such public losses as part of a burden. That means if you see the education in China and the education in India, now lack of public education is something that our government has been worrying. But if you go to China, the Chinese government does not allow its citizens, its kids to worry about public funded education. They have a very good level of education, and their agenda on the education is very, very correct. Okay, even in the income disparities as well. Both India and China are adopting what S. Shankar, the present External Affairs Minister, says is a strategic maturity. That means even though we see a difference in the governance of both the countries, one is a democratic country and one is an authoritarian country, but both of them are have a maturity in terms of strategies. Now we have now those used to the binary lenses in India wonder why India has been silent in the face of Chinese building infrastructure in the Doklam Valley. And India considers part of Bhutan's territory, and Chinese advances into Galwan every now and again. But there, everybody loses. The soldiers, the Chinese side also loses, India also loses. But India and China have understood that war is actually not the solution. We must mitigate the problems among us, and there has to be some sort of the strategic maturity. So neither China nor India will follow a very aggressive policy. They will not indulge in war, but rather they will maintain their economic relationship, and then beyond this economic relationship they will find a way to mitigate their border problems. So this is something that the writer wanted to tell us, that beyond everything, even though China is a different country, it's actually an authoritarian country, and India is a democratic country, and the governance and structure are very different, and yet we have adopted a similar policy which is called as the strategic maturity. That means we know that we have differences in terms of border, but that doesn't mean that we'll go on a war, and we have a good economic relationship. So we are not going to sacrifice our economic relationship for the sake of only protecting our borders. So we need to understand that there is always a solution to such problems, and India and China both understand this, and that is why they are considered as people or as countries who believe in the philosophy of the strategic maturity. So this was all for today. Thank you for joining, and if you have any questions, please do write in the comment section. Till then, take care and all the best.